All right, here we are with our final episode of this season of our podcast. And we just have to say that the forking future is fat and free and full of joy. And we're super excited to reflect on what we talked about and look ahead and see, how can we live in this life in this different headspace, and where do we go from here? How do we keep encouraging all of you to unlearn all the shit that you learned and keep fighting, keep healing, and I don't know, just like this consideration of radical fat joy and liberation. And I just love what we've been talking about, Dr. Nina.
Me too, Dr. Alisa. Yes, I love that we have been challenging diet culture. I've heard from people who've said, and this is the biggest compliment to us, I never thought of that. Or I never thought it could be a different way. I only thought that these were the rules. And we're here to say, break the forking rules. There are no rules. Fork the rules. We've been debunking so many myths about fat, about weight, about willpower, so many things that people think, or addiction, that people think are true. And I love that we're encouraging you to think a different way and that you are hearing us. So today we wanted to talk about, well, how do you put what we've been talking about, how do you put it into action? The first, most obvious action is to stop dieting.
Retire, drop it off, bring it to your Goodwill donation center, whatever you need to do, whatever sort of ritual ceremony you need to do, just do it. And boy, does it feel freeing. I remember having like this box of leftover diet crap that I had just collected over all the years, whether it was a protein bar, one of those packets where you add hot water and stir, or whatever the heck it was. And I just over the years had collected into this box of when I get back on this diet, I'll use this again. And it was just collecting dust in this corner of our kitchen and our cabinet for years. And every time we'd move, I would move it with us because it was as if it was some important part of our life, part of my story. And I remember the day that I was like, nope, fork that. I need to get rid of this and I need to do it now. And my partner was like, what is going on? What are you doing? And I indicated, this is important for me. I need to ditch it. And I've never regretted it. There was probably hundreds of dollars, if I'm being honest, of product that I had been convinced to purchase through all of my different diet efforts. And it just felt so freeing to put it in our garbage and never think about it again. And I urge you listeners, if you have any box of anything in any space in your home that's holding these reminders that you are not enough and that dieting is the only way to success, get rid of it. It'll feel so good.
And if you have a bunch of diet books, do not give them to Goodwill. No, they need to be recycled. Nobody needs the forking diet books. Nobody needs to read about that. Nobody needs to be tortured by more diets. Just recycle it because it is worthless. Its only value is in what it can be in the future once it becomes made into pulp. And also beware the stealth diets, right? That people don't think of as dieting, as in I'm on a meal plan, or I'm on Noom, or I just need to eat more protein. Because all of these diets, whether it's a book, whether it's an app, whether it's whatever it is, if it tells you what you should or shouldn't eat, that's diet mentality. We're here to say you have this amazing capacity to know what to eat, and that capacity is within your body. When you tune into your body, you know. That's why kids, babies, if you give them something they don't want, they'll turn their head. And we have to listen to them. If they're turning their head, that means they don't want it. So we know as babies what we want or what we don't want. Let's get back to that ability to trust ourselves. It's there, but you can only practice intuitive eating when you work through the emotional or other reasons that you may be turning to food. If you're turning to food because you need comfort, distraction, reward, or because you're eating to give yourself energy or calm down, that's something that you got to look at and work through and change so that you will have access to your ability to eat intuitively.
Well, and I appreciate what you're speaking to, because I think it might get confusing sometimes to identify which of these books that I have are diet books, which of these books I have are encouraging me to tune into my emotions and tune into my relationship with my body. And I think it might be helpful just to think about if this is a book that's telling you, as Nina was saying, like how to eat, right? If it's giving you some suggestions of food you're supposed to have and things you're supposed to do, then I'm going to say ditch that. But if it's talking to you about how to trust yourself and how to tune in and how to understand your relationship with food, such as The Binge Cure or such as T-Shirt Swim Club, which are books that I highly recommend, then those are going to be books that are going to be helpful for you. They're going to encourage you to reclaim your power. And it's also going to probably be a little bit more difficult to read, right? Because you're going to need to interact with some things that you may have been intentionally avoiding. It might encourage you to name the grief, name the anger, the tenderness, and letting go of diet culture. And while it might be a little bit uncomfortable and unfamiliar, it's going to be absolutely necessary, and you'll be very thankful later.
Yes, so ditch the diet and then look for why power, not willpower. Your why power is your superpower. It's everything. When you look at your why am I eating that? Instead of, should I be eating that, or I ate that, oh, bad me. Then you take back your power. And it is empowering, even though sometimes it's scary to feel the feelings you don't want to feel or think the thoughts you don't want to think. It's ultimately empowering because you're connecting to yourself. Instead of having a relationship with food and your body, you're actually having a relationship with yourself that is supportive and sustaining and sustainable, unlike any diet.
Absolutely. And along those same lines, just the concept of reclaiming, right? Like centering in that radical fat joy, body joy, pleasure, play, sex, style, community, love, all the things that are part of bodies, and celebrating those bodies, fat or not, as sites of power and beauty, resilience, resistance, and culture, instead of pathologizing it and always thinking that there's something wrong and broken. And I mean, part of that, and this is my opinion purely, but use the word fat. I think for so many years of my life, I would feel so much shame when I would say I am a fat person, right? Like I have fat in my body. I felt that I was like revealing some secret that nobody else knew. And once I revealed that, my status or my power would immediately diminish. And it really trapped me for so long. And I'll never forget when my brother and I were doing interviews for our book, and we went on to a talk show, and my brother and I kept using the word fat because we are really trying to reclaim the power. And one of the hosts of this talk show got really thrown off by me saying the word fat. And he was like, I'm really uncomfortable with how much you're using that F word. And I know Dr. Nina and I already talked about this, but I was very confused what he meant by the F word, right? And then he said fat, and he was so put back by it. And I said, hey man, we got to use this. We got to reclaim it. We got to acknowledge the importance of this space and affirm fatness and interact with it differently than we have before. And he was shook. He may still be shook. I don't think I was able to change his beliefs. I think it would have taken a little bit more conversation than we had time for. But I started it with him, right? And I start this conversation with everybody I work with. And I continue that conversation with myself every day. And that's what's important. And I have this conversation with my daughter, who's almost 2. And I'm like, honey, we use the word fat here. Mommy is fat. And this is something we need to talk about. And it's okay that mommy is fat. And I'm intentionally doing this because we need to change these conversations and we need to reclaim it.
Our goal is that one day fat and thin will just be seen as descriptors, right? Like, I am blonde, Dr. Alisa has dark hair. Those are just descriptors. One is not good and one is not bad. They're just a way of describing our hair. That is what we hope that fat and thin can be. Thin, fat, medium, whatever. It's just a descriptor. It doesn't have any pejorative connotation. And the more that we use the word fat, the more we reclaim it and create it as a descriptor. After all, the idea that fat is bad is learned. And if you don't believe me, go look at a Rubens painting. At that time, being fat was seen as good. It meant you were prosperous. It meant you had money. It meant all good things. So if you were fat, good on you. Fat is just a cultural construct in terms of it being a negative. And so let's change the cultural construct back to just a descriptor.
Yeah, and it's not going to happen overnight, right? Like this is we've been talking about this in most of our episodes because the importance is so extreme. And we started with rage at the diet industry, and we really want to end with something deeper, right? This kind of vision, this concept of you are so much more than what you have been taught, and you are so much more than whatever that scale reads, and fork those rules that you've been living by, and embrace the fact that your body is whatever size it is, just like your hair is whatever color it is, as she was just mentioning, and just owning it, right? And I think also like a call to action is another really big motivator for us doing this podcast is we want you to know you're not alone, right? Like this is just the beginning. And it can be really isolating when you're in a fat body. I know that I felt very isolated most of my life because I felt othered, I felt rejected, and it didn't really seem like there was any exit strategy other than weight loss. Like that seemed like my only lifeline. And I mean, don't get me wrong, sometimes weight loss is necessary because of health reasons or your own reasons or whatever your why is. And you are not alone. It's not something that has to be done with, as Dr. Nina, I love that she always says this, like white knuckling it. Like this is not the way that life needs to be or should be. And there's so much freedom and it can be achieved. And we encourage you to achieve it because there's so much more joy, right? There's so many more interesting things to talk about, which I know we've iterated over and over, but it's necessary for us to do that because this is absolutely necessary for you to do.
And whether you embrace fatness or you struggle with it, it's okay. You're on a journey. You're evolving. So just, what the heck do I want to say? So just embrace where you are as you are on this journey. And remember, you are so much more than whatever the number on the scale says. Like you cannot measure your value on a bathroom scale. And there is so much more to you that you might be thinking about if you were not thinking about your weight. And taking back your power from diet culture and being able to say, you know what, I'm okay with my body, even if I'm trying to change it. I'm not going to hate on myself. I'm going to support myself. I'm going to be there for myself. And by the way, I have so much more to think about if I'm not thinking about every freaking forking macro and protein this and carb that. Think about how much space will be there in your mind to think about other things. Now, that might scare you. I've had more than one person say to me, now that I'm not thinking about that, I'm thinking about things that may scare me a little bit. But it also may excite you, and it's going to lead you to a relationship with yourself that is, life-changing. You're more than just what you weigh. So much more. Embrace that. For fork's sake, embrace that. That's our message.
I appreciate what you're speaking to. I only at this point am working with people who identify living in fat bodies. And a lot of time what happens is we'll work together for many months about their health behaviors, their relationship with health behaviors, their view of themselves, their beliefs about their bodies and their beliefs about their goals. And, it takes several months of kind of unpacking and identifying all of these layers that they've built upon for so many years. And after some time, their conversations with me start to change and their attitude starts to change. And I can sense some liberation. I can sense some freedom from this obsession about their weight. And then all of a sudden we will start talking about their relationships or their dissatisfaction at work or their challenges with a family member or issues with parenting or what have you. And I get to this point with a lot of my patients where they'll start to say, I'm sorry, I know that we're not talking about weight anymore. We're talking about these other aspects of my life. And that's where I get to inform them that that's because we're in a state of liberation where it's not something that you're obsessing about anymore. You're not worried about that number anymore. And here's actually likely the real reasons that got you to me. Here's the reasons that are probably, as my brother and I call it, the fatberg, right? What's underneath the weight and what's keeping you at this weight or these issues. And that's what I love about my work, is that once they've reached that point, they're a lot more willing, a lot more open to address those difficult, more challenging topics that they were able to avoid for decades, right? If not their whole life. And I think that's the work that Dr. Nina and I do so often, is that people usually come to us with these kind of superficial but very important reasons to them about trying to change their food, trying to change their bodies. But then as we do their work together, they realize, oh, that's not actually the work that I need, right? The work that I need is the stuff underneath.
Yes, we encourage you to shift from thinking about your weight to thinking about what is weighing on you. Because whatever it is that is weighing on you is likely leading to whatever behaviors with food you don't like. So when you really identify what is weighing on you, which you can only get to when you stop dieting and distracting yourself and thinking about food all the time, when you look at that, you start to identify what is weighing on you, what is eating at you. Mm-hmm. Then you know what it is that you need to address, whether it is something relationally that is scary, something at work, something missing from your life, something that's upsetting you, someone that's upsetting you, some unrequited yearning. Whatever it is, it needs your attention, not your condemnation. It needs your attention. And that's the path to freedom. When you really look at what's inside and focus on that and work through that, guess what? Your relationship with food is going to be completely different.
Oh, we hope that you're starting to share a vision with us for what a future of fat liberation, body liberation looks like, and what that means for you, right? And the food rule, as we named, as Dr. Nina named, enjoy the food. It has to be yummy, right? Like it has to be something you enjoy. And whatever you need to do with that scale to change your relationship, maybe ditch it, maybe give it to a friend, maybe do whatever you feel like is going to help you most, and treating yourself like a friend, right? And just try your best to reject these ideas that you have lived with for so many years, and just learn that embracing yourself is really what we're aiming for, right? Loving yourself, neutralizing your relationship with your body, and trying to think of a place where fat liberation is normalized, not marginalized, and think of what steps that requires for you. Maybe listening through our podcast again, maybe picking up one of the books that we've written, maybe joining a support group. But definitely making some change, a tangible change, is probably going to be necessary, because it's super easy to listen to something like our podcast and then be like, oh yeah, I might make some changes later. And then it kind of, loses its importance, and eventually it fades away. So do something today for you.
I love all of what you just said, and I have an excellent piece of advice for anyone with a bathroom scale. Here's what you do. You take the bathroom scale, you take a hammer.
I thought you were going to go there.
Or a mallet, something extremely heavy, and you smash the fork out of that damn thing, because you know what? It is not your friend. It is an object of torture. So take back your power from the forking scale and smash the scale, and then throw it away. And you know what? What's going to happen? Nothing. You're just going to be free, liberated from that number. Because if you get on the scale every day and your day is dictated by the number on the scale, then that scale is ruining your life. You're not going to just gain weight if you don't weigh yourself. It's not going to happen. The scale actually does nothing for you. It is not a motivating factor, even if you think it is. So Smash the fork out of that damn thing, throw it away, and let us know how that feels. And believe me, it might be scary at first when you go, oh my God, what have I done? But in a week or two, you're going to be like, oh my God, why didn't I do that sooner? I am free. So no dieting, no scale. Cultivate a relationship with yourself from a place of interest, compassion, support, be your own cheerleader. You're going to feel so much better. And food is just going to be something yummy that you have for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks. Imagine that. It's possible. We are both here to tell you it is possible because we've been where you are and we are not here anymore. Freedom is possible. Liberation is possible. And we're going to be back for season 2 to give you more food for thought on this topic and actionable strategies. So stay with us, stay tuned. Let us know if there's anything that you want us to talk about, and we will.
And please come back if you want to hear the forking truth.